Most people get started in investing and they don't really understand or know what the actual goal is. They just know, hey, I want to have more money later than I do right now. And that's great, but what's the plan to get you there? What actual data have you seen and how much do you actually need to get to your personal goal? $100,000 invested into the S&P 500 is an amazing goal, and in this video, I'm going to show you not only how you can get there and how long it's going to take you to get there based on investing in certain amounts, but also why $100,000 should be your goal. And I'm going to share with you my big 3 tips on how you can literally make that happen. You focus on these 3 for a short period of your life, and the rest of your life, you'll be able to live the way that you want in that financial freedom. My name's Nolan Govea, or Professor G as my students know me. I made this channel to basically simplify the complexity that I see in the financial world. I do all the research so you don't have to. Now let's get you to that $100,000. Over the last 100 years, through all the dips, all the depressions, all the recessions, the S&P 500 has statistically appreciated 10.4% every single year on average, with dividends reinvested. So if you had $100,000 in the S&P 500 today, and you never add another dollar, in 10 years, you'd have $268,961. In 20 years, without adding an extra dollar, you would have $723,404. If you had $100,000 in the S&P 500 today and you never added another dollar, in 30 years, you'd have $1,945,683. And in 40 years, remember, not adding one more dollar, you'd have $5,233,147. We starting to see why having $100,000 in that S&P 500 might be a solid goal? So very quickly, what is the S&P 500? The S&P 500 is basically an index fund that compiles all of the best 500 or so companies in the United States. So when you buy one share of the S&P 500, you're actually buying a little piece of 500 of the top companies. Now, the way that I recommend that you invest in the S&P 500 is the way that I do it, which is to buy an ETF called VOO, V-O-O. Not going to get into all the complexities between the two, but basically, for all intents and purposes, VOO is the exact same thing as the S&P 500. And if you go in and actually look at the holdings of the S&P 500 versus the holdings of VOO, it's exactly the same percentage-wise. Also, with an expense ratio of only 0.03%, VOO is one of the cheapest ETFs out there for what you get. That basically means that for your $10,000 within this fund, you're only having to pay $3 as a fee. Seems like a deal to me. The main reason that you're putting your money into this, and why I specifically do this, is because your risk is very low compared to individual stocks. If instead you had $100,000 in, say, Apple, and Apple just had a terrible year or two and it went down like 20%, then your whole portfolio is going to go down. But when you have money in an index fund or ETF, especially one that's so diversified with over 500 companies, if one or two of the companies go down, a couple of the other ones will probably go up, and so it should even out and at least keep your risk pretty mitigated. And VOO isn't just diversified into 500 different companies, it's also diversified because it's in 11 different sectors. Things like information technology, health, financials, energy, utilities, and more. You're pretty much covered on all bases with this. At this point, you're probably thinking, yeah, S&P 500 or VOO sounds like a good investment, and having $100,000 sounds like a really good idea. One problem, how the heck do I get to $100,000? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's see how long it would take by investing specific amounts per month in the S&P 500 to be able to accumulate that first $100,000 in the fund. If you invested $100 per month in order to get $100,000 in the fund, it would take you 23 years. If we invested $200 per month in order to get you $100,000, it would take you 17 years. Let's double it up. If you invested $400 per month in order to get $100,000, it's going to take you 12 years. At $800 per month, This would take you 8 years. Now let's put $1,000 per month into the S&P 500. In order to get $100,000, it's going to take you 6.5 years. So what does this tell us? It basically shows that if you want life-changing wealth and you want to hit that $100,000 and you preferably want to do that sooner rather than later, then you're going to have to do something that most people are not willing to do. So how bad do you want that financial freedom? How bad do you want to be let out of your 9-to-5 job? How bad do you want to go to the beach on a random Wednesday and not have to ask your boss for time off? If you're ready for that, let's make it happen. Here are the big 3 tips that are going to make it so that you can actually get to that $100,000 early in life. The first one on my list is first because it's something that you can be doing right now, and hopefully you already are, but if you're not, it's all about taking the free money. At your job, I'm sure that they offer a 401k match. That money is over and above any salary, any hourly amount of money that they're paying you. They're willing to give to you as long as you're putting some of your paycheck towards your retirement. So what I do is I set my 401k fund to be an S&P 500 fund, and I max out my contribution of whatever it is that my company is going to match. So if you get to put 5% of your paycheck away and they're going to match 5% on top of that, that really adds up. And that's a way to put someone else's money towards this goal for you to get to that $100,000 quicker. Number 2 of this big 3 is definitely one where you're gonna have to dig deep. Remember when I said you need to do something that other people are not willing to do? Well, in this case, you need to figure out what your biggest expense is and figure out how you can eliminate it or drastically change it. For most people, that's your living expense, as far as your mortgage or rent. I need you to do what you can to bring that down. It may get a little uncomfortable, but remember, this is just for a short period of time, and as soon as you can get to that 100,000, remember how quick it just jumps up without you having to add even another extra dollar forever? So those of you that are renting an apartment, if you have the place all to yourself, it's time to get a roommate. At that point, you're gonna cut your rent expense in half. And if you own a home, it's so easy to rent out one room on Airbnb or find a long-term renter. Again, not the funnest thing in the world, but we have to have that end in mind. And one huge side note on this one is that merely cutting out the expense or cutting it in half is the first step, but make sure that with that extra money that you now inherit, that you don't go and blow it all on something stupid. You need to be very, very disciplined at this point, and you need to take that extra money and you need to throw it straight into your investment. The third tip that's going to get you towards that $100,000 quicker and absolutely change your life is going to be that you need to work towards increasing your income. There's so many ways that you can do that, but level up your skills. Make yourself a more valuable employee. And with those new skills, apply for a new job. Again, it's going to be uncomfortable leaving someplace that you like or maybe your friends are at, but the easiest way to invest more money is to be able to just have more money to invest with. So you gotta do what you gotta do. And if you don't wanna leave the job that you're at, still level up some skills and start a side hustle. One of my favorite ones is just to learn how to do web design. There's so many people in your community that would love to pay you to help them with their website. Usually people like dentists and chiropractors and even doctors are very, very good at what they do, but they're not great at communicating that, and most of their websites look like they were done in like 1980. These type of people also have a lot of expendable income and would be totally cool with paying you $1,000 to redo their website. Again, just like step number 2, you need to make sure and take that extra money and be disciplined and put it into the investment. Do these 3 things and I promise you we're getting to that $100,000 so fast. Now there's many different places that you can invest your money, but the reason why I just love VOO and this specific ETF is something that I go over in detail in this video here. You could literally invest in just this one ETF and retire a millionaire. I'll have that video linked down below so you can come back and watch that later on. Now right now we're in somewhat of a market downturn and everything you see on TV or the news is pretty negative towards investing and investing in stocks in general. So what I did was I invested $100 per day even during the worst part of this market downturn. And I documented it all in this video here so you can see the truth of what it looks like to invest $100 for 100 days during a bad market downturn. And let me tell you, you're going to be surprised at the result.